Gorgonopsids. This family of therapsids are often regarded as the original saber teeth, and of course that's because of their very long and very impressive fangs that they possess. Gorgonopsids are incredibly unique and fascinating animals that definitely deserve the spotlight, but of course some of them have shown up in media, so of course let's go ahead and take a look at the many interpretations of one particular Gorgonopsid, that being Inostrancevia. Inostrancevia is my favorite of the Gorgonopsids, and it's also hailed as the largest of the Gorgonopsid family, at least the genus Inostrancevia is, which is very cool stuff. A little bit of background on the animal. Again, it's hailed as the largest Gorgonopsid. It lived in the late Permian of what is now Russia, and they were pretty impressive. They had huge upright limbs and of course the huge saber teeth that are, I believe, the longest in comparison to their body in the Gorgonopsid family. So they're of course extremely impressive in a family with teeth that are already impressive. Now, these guys do show up in the media quite a bit, way more than, at least as far as I can tell, than most other Gorgonopsids. However, Gorgonops, the namesake for the family, does show up a couple of times, so I will be looking at it too, but it really doesn't show up that frequently. Inostrancevia shows up way more. But anyway, let's stop babbling and let's get right into it. Okay, so we're starting off strong with At Earth's Core, which is a movie that I've never heard about. But I might be inclined to check it out after seeing this, because this right here is their Inostrancevia, or at least according to some sources on the internet, this is supposed to be Inostrancevia. This is definitely one of the most designs that I have seen of this animal. Of course, really nothing is correct about it. The skeletal structure is completely off. To me, it looks like a cross between a hippo, a hedgehog, and a dinosaur. It's definitely a very unique design. Of course, you can't really make out the saber teeth from the rest of its teeth, so it's kind of hard to tell that this is meant to be Inostrancevia. This is definitely a design worthy of recognition, I think. I might have to check out this movie. I have never heard of it before, and now I am intrigued. But next up, we have a familiar project, that being Walking with Monsters. They also never explicitly state that this is Inostrancevia. However, given the size and the its location, that being in Siberia, this is probably Inostrancevia. I find that that's commonplace in a lot of documentaries. A lot of times when they have a Gorgonopsid on screen, they don't identify which genus it's supposed to be. They just call it a Gorgonops. That's a little bit frustrating, but this is probably Inostrancevia. But upon rewatching Walking with Monsters, I came across an incredibly hilarious scene that I need to show off real quick.
Insects, but he has speed on his side.
Yeah, that made me laugh. It was funny. But in all seriousness, this Inostrancevia does look extremely cool. Those teeth are exposed. One thing that I will be bringing up is, the presence of lips. Lips are likely on Gorgonopsids. They are terrestrial animals, and, because of that, they run the risk of their teeth drying out, so they do need oral tissue to help preserve that. So lips are likely on them. This guy does not have lips, and of course, I think I completely forgot to mention this. Inostrancevia being a therapsid means that they share closer relation to modern day mammals than they do to, things like dinosaurs or things like that. So I will be mentioning things like, smooth skin and stuff like that, which is a lot more likely for them rather than the kind of rough reptilian skin that was always commonplace for them. Now, this guy has relatively smooth skin. It does seem a bit rough in a few points, but for the most part, it seems pretty decent. I also really like the patterns that were used for it. All in all, I think it's definitely one of the cooler designs that we'll be looking at. But after that, I think we have the most iconic portrayal of this animal, that being from Primeval. This was my introduction to Inostrancevia when I was watching Primeval when I was far younger than I am now. It completely terrified me. I thought it was a horrifying creature. I knew that it wasn't a dinosaur, and that, because of that, that really kind of made it terrifying. When I was a kid, dinosaurs were not terrifying to me, but other extinct creatures, a lot of prehistoric extinct creatures were kind of terrifying to me, and this was definitely one of them. Its design looks really good. It has the basic shape of a, Inostrancevia, as well as the very iconic huge teeth. Actually, they're portrayed as absolutely massive on this guy, but like a short tail and things like that. It does have rougher skin, a lot more representative of reptilian skin, and once again, the teeth are exposed. But it's a very cool portrayal, especially one for the show that it's in. Primeval definitely has a certain style to it, and this design definitely fits that style. It was also really cool to see it fight the future predator. It's like an instance of the way past of the late Permian clashing with the future, so just a cool little thing. Next up, we have Dinosaur Revolution. This was always a cool documentary. They have some pretty cool designs in general. Their Inostrancevia design is awesome. Like, I think that this design is so cool. Of course, it has a lot of the same things that we've seen several times already, like the exposed teeth. But all in all, this, like, it has the basic shape correct. It's even called Inostrancevia in the documentary. Like that, I feel like that's kind of rare nowadays. But it's actually shown in the midst of the Great Dying, which is the end of the Permian, beginning of the Triassic extinction that wiped out like over 90% of all life on Earth, so it was absolutely devastating for life on Earth. So we don't see Inostrancevia too much in this little snippet. It mainly serves as an introduction to kind of get things kicked off into the time of the dinosaurs, because again, this is the end of the Permian, so beginning of the Mesozoic. But really, this design is so flippin' cool. It has relatively smoother skin, and the patterns on this one in particular are just so, like, just eye-catching. Like, I just think this is really cool. One documentary that I have not heard of is Earth, the Making of the Planet. This design is certainly interesting. From what I can tell from the clips that I can find, it has more so a sprawled out stance, which is definitely not reminiscent of the animal, which would have likely had more of an upright stance, a lot more like modern day mammals. But the color scheme does seem a bit interesting, and the patterns do seem pretty cool. I can't really get a good readout for the animal, but all in all, I think it looks pretty decent. And now the most recent interpretation of Inostrancevia is life on our planet, where they call it a Gorgonopsid. Once again. But rest assured, it is Inostrancevia, and I absolutely love this design. I feel like we've kind of come full circle when it comes to Inostrancevia designs, because this one I feel has a lot more accuracy with it, like the lips as well as the smoother skin, and it has some flares here and there, like the tiger stripes, which is definitely interesting. I mean, there's no indication that it would have had something like that, but it's purely speculative. They also show it with some hair, and this is something I haven't brought up yet, but it is possible that Inostrancevia and other Gorgonopsids did possess hair, or at least a hair-like structure, much like modern-day animals. It's not something that's confirmed, so it's not, again, not something that I brought up, but I think it's really cool that it was shown here, and, is something that helps the life on our planet Inostrancevia stand out. I really liked its whole scene that it was shown in. Just in general, it was probably one of the biggest highlights to me in that documentary as a whole. Moving on from movies and shows, we'll take a look at the few video games that these guys have shown up in. The first being Dino Crisis. Now, it has some interesting flares on it that are just different in general. I mean, I don't know if this is the official image. I'm having issues finding like official images of the Inostrancevia and Dino Crisis, but I do know that it's in there. And if this is the image, then it looks really cool. I feel like it definitely fits what that game is going for. A very cool and unique design. And then next we have Jurassic World Alive, which is the Jurassic franchise. So of course there's going to be some deviations to it, and it's and likely it's real life counterparts, such as things like it being a little bit shrink wrapped, a longer tail. But one of the cool things that they have added to it is the kind of like blue coloration that it has on the back of its neck. I think that's something that is extremely cool. I really like seeing blue on animals, even though blue is rare in nature. It's just something that I think looks really cool, especially this kind of like brighter blue that we see on it. But of course, things like exposed teeth and things like that. Inostrancevia and Gorgonopsids do make sense for the Jurassic franchise. They have that kind of gnarly appearance. But along with Inostrancevia, Gorgonops itself shows up in Jurassic World Alive, and it has a really cool design too. Now, Gorgonops is actually significantly smaller than Inostrancevia, so there's quite a bit of a difference between the two, but I really like its design in Alive, mainly because of the patterns. I really like the contrast of the colors and things like that. I just think it's a really cool design. We'll stick with Gorgonops real quick, and we'll look at its appearance in Leaps in Evolution by NHK. Its design here looks really kind of interesting. It really does kind of have a little bit of a mammalian-like look to it. Exposed teeth, maybe rougher skin. not too many deviations, and the skeleton seems to match up, so it's a pretty decent design. But that is pretty much the majority of the Inostrancevia / Gorgonops adaptations that I have found in media. I know that I've probably missed some more, and I know that I'll probably get some comments about that, and that's completely all right. I'm really glad that you guys are liking this series. I'm really enjoying doing it because I think it's really fun to kind of take a look at all of the different interpretations of these prehistoric animals and just see where, there's some creative flares or why they went with a certain style or things like that, and just kind of seeing just the different ideas of a specific animal. And it's just been a lot of fun. I'm really glad that you guys have enjoyed watching it because, of course, I've enjoyed doing it. The other animals that I had on that poll that weren't voted for, I will get to eventually. I will get to every single one of them that is on that. I'll likely get to Iguanodon next, but we'll see what happens. I think that Iguanodon will be a really fun one to see because of its history as a dinosaur in general, being one of the first that we ever discovered. So it's incredibly important for paleo reconstructions and, portrayals of dinosaurs in media. So I'm really kind of eager to get to that one. So that's likely the one that I'll get to next. But we'll see what the future holds. Anyway, that's all I have for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.